You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Athan Hristodulu.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of the Greeks Gridiron. I am Athan Hristodulu and today we are discussing the top 5 safeties in the NFL as we head into the 2021 season. The safety position was a weird one because, you know, you have free safety, you have strong safety, you have these like hybrid safeties that are almost like linebackers / safeties playing in the box more than they are actually over the top. I mean, just an overall really weird position, and I considered trying to break it down, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the challenge and just kind of do my best to, lump 5 of who I feel play the position as a whole the best. Before we do get into the thick of things, as always, I like to remind you guys, if you enjoy the content, like, comment, share, and subscribe on the video. Let me know in the comment section down below what I got right, what I got wrong, what you do and don't agree with, all that good stuff. But first, honorable mentions before we jump into the top 5 list as we go from 5 to 1. I do want to shout out Justin Simmons, Jamal Adams, and Tyrann Mathieu. They were guys that I left off this list, and some of those names, some really big names and tough ones to leave off the list, but I only have 5 slots, and, the guys that I have on this list here, I think have all staked a very strong case within the last year and even handful of years as to why they are the top players at their position. Now, coming in at number 5, to start off the list, this guy has been an absolute model of consistency over the years. He is working towards the back half of his career, though, which is why I only have him ranked at number 5 here. But, he has been stellar his entire career and a little bit underrated in my opinion. I'm sure you Minnesota Viking fans will agree as well. Harrison Smith, literally the definition of consistency at the safety position. This guy is always doing a great job in the back, in the box, wherever you need him to line up. He does an excellent job at the position. Some of his statistics here, he only lets up, this past season, allowed a 65.6% completion percentage, so pretty solid average number there. He also had 10 pass breakups, only allowed 338 yards. He only allowed 1 touchdown over the top, and he had a whopping 5 interceptions this past season. And he's not really showing any signs of slowing down. And the only thing you can really knock against him on that is the fact that he's just aging in the wrong direction. There's not much you can do about that. He had a really low passer rating of only 71.6. He had half a sack too. So, his numbers look really good. He was close to 90 tackles at 89. And again, this guy has just been a model of consistency throughout his entire career. I have not seen him on enough top 5 lists in my opinion. And he is somebody that I've always looked at as the guy who has held down that secondary in Minnesota for the last, I think, how long has his career been at this point? 8 or 9 years, however long he's been playing. The guy has just been a dominant force at the position. Shout out to Harrison Smith. That is my number 5. Now, coming in at the number 4 position, this guy, on the younger side, very good safety, and I think he has room to improve and get even better, which is crazy, but he's already playing the position at such a high level. I gotta shout out the New York Jet, Marcus Maye. This guy, man, I feel like didn't get as much attention in New York because Jamal Adams was there for a while, but, when you look at the numbers here, a 58.7% completion percentage with the ball coming his way, 11 pass breakups. He didn't even allow 300 yards at 285. He did let up 3 touchdowns last season, but he had a couple of picks, couple of forced fumbles. He 89 tackles. He had a couple of sacks as well. So, you put him anywhere and he's going to produce some numbers, whether he's chasing the quarterback down, whether he's trying to strip the ball, whether he's making a play on the football in the air. Marcus Maye can literally do it all, and you want to talk about a multifaceted safety who, now that he's by himself in New York in that secondary and kind of gets more of the star recognition himself as opposed to splitting it with Jamal Adams, I think his star is really starting to shine in the NFL, and I've seen a lot of safety lists not include Marcus Maye as well. This is another guy who I've seen skipped out on some lists. I've seen Jets fans wondering where the heck the respect is for Marcus Maye, and I'll tell you right now, New York fans, the respect is here. He is my number 4 safety on this list. Now, coming in at number 3, this is a guy that I did not expect to have on this list at all, and was not even on my radar until I started doing the research and looking at videos of him. And he has been consistent the last 3 years of his career as well. He has looked really good and beyond anything that I could have imagined, to be honest, because of the team that he's on. And man, shout out to Jesse Bates III. This guy, dude, you need to, because he's on the Bengals, he doesn't get quite the recognition he deserves at all. And like I said, when I put this list together, he wasn't even on my radar until I started looking into it because of just where he is and, the team's success that they've had in the last few years. You don't really hear his name called. I've seen a few safety lists not include this guy as well, but I mean, dude, Jesse Bates III has been the last couple of years a very dominant safety, and he's only getting better, steadily improving, consistent. He's had 3 interceptions each and every single of his first 3 years. He's had a forced fumble last year. He only allowed a passer rating of 70.7 when the ball was coming his way, 54.3% completion off the 46 targets that came his way. He has the high on this list of 15 pass breakups, so he's in there, knocking the ball away, picking the ball off. He's forced a fumble. He had 109 total tackles at the safety position. That's linebacker numbers, for God's sakes. 109 total tackles. I mean, come on now. Jesse Bates III, the dude is only going to be rising up in stock as we go through his career. I mean, there's no reason for me to think that he's going to backpedal at this point. He's only gotten better and better. And, as long as the Bengals continue to try and trend in the right direction, if he even gets an even better supporting cast, it should only help his numbers as he goes through. So shout out to Jesse Bates, man. Talk about an underrated safety you do not hear about that I myself wasn't even thinking of when I put the list together, but I could not fail to include him on here. The numbers are too good. His highlights are too good. The player is too good. Jesse Bates, man, take a look at some of his videos before you fire in this comment section why Jamal Adams or somebody else isn't on here, because, man, his coverage in the box, everything is just so good about Jesse Bates. Now, coming in at number 2, this is a guy who's been on a defense that's been very dominant, but he has also been very dominant his entire career, who, there's a lot of star power on the team he used to be on, which is understandable as to why he maybe did not get the recognition that I feel he deserves at this position as well. But I mean, if you ask just about anybody, this is a guy that has to be in the top 5 conversation because he has been, again, another model of consistency on this list. I want to shout out John Johnson III taking the number 2 spot here. This dude had 68 targets come his way. It's the highest on the list here, and it's highest by, I believe, 22? Yeah, 22. He does allow a 69.1% completion percentage coming his way this past season. He had 8 pass breakups, 300 yards, but he allowed 0 touchdowns. He had an interception. Passer rating was low, 105 tackles. He doesn't get quite the turnovers that you'll see that with some of the other numbers that are on this list. But I mean, the guy is just so good. And part of the reason why I have him so high on this list is he's going into a defense now in Cleveland that on paper has only gotten better. He has such a good situation where he's going to really just be able to focus on floating that back side of the field and just shut it down in those deep threat situations. So, John Johnson, a great safety. I think he's going to get even better playing in Cleveland with the supporting cast he has around them. Not to say that, the LA Rams were not a good supporting cast, but the defense in Cleveland should get even better, and I'm really excited to see what he does over there. And honestly, man, I mean, just John Johnson, he shuts it down. He might have had a little down year for his statistics turnover-wise this past season, but go back and look at some of his numbers and some of his highlights, man. John Johnson is a serious guy at the safety position. Now, coming in at number 1, I have seen him at number 1 on a lot of lists, and honestly, you want to talk about a massive turnaround the last couple of years compared to how things were going in the first few years of his career, and whoever you want to point the finger at for that, go for it. But I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick, man, has evolved into, my opinion, the best safety in the league. He does it all from top to bottom. I mean, the tackles, he had 79 last year, 4 interceptions, forced fumble, 11 pass breakups. Reception percentage was at a flat 50% when the ball was coming his way, and he allowed a passer rating of only 65.7. That is the lowest that I have on this list here. I mean, when he was in Miami, it made no sense. He was so good in college, and he was so dominant. And then coming into the NFL, I expected so much from him, and he showed flashes in Miami, don't get me wrong, but it just never made sense to me how things were not working out well for him. And man, he goes to a system like Pittsburgh that just has consistently year in and year out always had a very strong defense, whether it was just a good defense or a great defense. And I mean, talk about flourishing in a system that allows him to do what he does best. And I mean, God damn, is Minkah Fitzpatrick a good safety? I mean, you talk about getting a position that's not necessarily easy to fill and also get really good consistency out of. When you think of like consistent players, the safety position's a weird one because it kind of seems to change year in and year out. There's a few guys here and there. Harrison Smith's another good example of a guy who's like consistently really good. Devin McCourty is like another guy that I think of. Obviously, the Ed Reeds and Troy Polamalu's, Brian Dawkins of years past. But like, there's only a handful of safeties that just year in and year out are really good. And while Minkah Fitzpatrick is only in his going in his third year now of what should be some stellar play, this is a guy that I fully expect to just continue to assert his dominance in the position and shut things down on that side of the field that he plays on. But that's my top 5 for the safeties. I mean, I would love to hear what you guys think. I left off some names: Jamal Adams, Justin Simmons, and Tyrann Mathieu. Trust me, I considered them hard. They're, those were like the 8 names aside from, those 3 names, including the 5 that were also on this list, were the 8 names I was really considering here. Buda Baker was another one as well that I kind of considered a bit, but when it came down to just, encompassing the entire position and all the things that position can entail these days in the NFL, these 5 guys, in my opinion, do the position and do the position best. Let me know in the comment section what you think. I appreciate y'all for watching. I'll catch you guys in another video. Have a good one.